welcome to the Big 12 Mafia Show. I'm your host, Nathan Bomber Brown. With me is my partner as well, and that's the Moen Show. How you doing today, Moen?
Doing fantastic. How are you guys
Excellent.
doing?
Doing very well.
Good.
National Signing Day, which is a big deal for most schools that aren't Ohio State, that aren't Michigan, that aren't, Alabama and Auburn or anywhere. Anybody that's below the top 20 is struggling, right? Everybody's trying to get better. So it's a really good day for a lot of schools. And then there's some that have dropped. So we're going to go through the ones that we care about. And in that vein, let me introduce you to Sarge. He's our mafia super soldier. Why don't you introduce yourself, Sarge, and tell us a little bit about you.
Well, a lot of people, I think I've seen most of these people that we chat with on Twitter, but I'm retired from the Army. I live down here in Florida because my in-laws live down here, and they kind of stranded us last year, so we're kind of stuck.
Okay.
They decided to move to Hilton Head after we moved down.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
So you came down to them, and then they moved away, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But anyway, it is what it is. Like I said, I grew up in Salt Lake.
Okay.
But I'm down here. But I spent like my whole adult life in the military since I was 19.
Well, thank you for your service. I very much appreciate it.
And I'm a big Utah fan. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like BYU a little bit too. But there's some people that kind of tick me off. But
I think that's kind of universal, isn't it? Especially in college athletics. I think that's the way it is pretty much everywhere. But I invited Sarge to join us because Wild Ute is out of town. In fact, he reminded me he's traveling with his family in France. So he's actually doing international stuff, and we're back here talking about National Signing Day. So I wanted to have somebody here to represent Utah because Utah is not only part of the Big 12, but also one of the rival for BYU, and that's very important to me. It's important to Sarge, and I think it's good for college football overall. Before we jump into that, let's do a little business. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Follow us all on Twitter. You can see our names, and if you want to, Sarge, you can put your Twitter handle underneath your name there.
Can I fix that?
You can go to look on your little picture. There's 3 dots. Click on it.
Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Yep. And just then pick the one you want to change.
Okay.
And then please, everybody, subscribe to this channel on YouTube. Make sure you turn on your notifications. That's very important, both on Twitter and here. And then last but not least, we are doing memberships. And Moen, why don't you run through the memberships with us?
Yeah, just if you go to join on our homepage, you can join the membership program. We've got 3 different tiers. You can be a soldier, a wise guy, or a capo. They've all got different perks. By all means, we suggest you check that out. You can also now gift memberships on the channel by simply going down to the little cash icon and clicking it and gifting memberships. So if anybody's feeling generous,
stickers, right?
Yes, super stickers and super chats as well. So all 3. We've got the trifecta on the cash sign. We unlocked 2 emojis or 2 more emoji slots. So I put 2 new emojis in there as well. So.
And on that vein, before we get to anything else, I want to announce that we have another member. David Hackett is a new member, and we've got. Thank you very much for being here, David. You've been a part of the Mafia family for a while, and I appreciate you signing up to be a paid member. I hope everybody takes a chance to sign up as a member, or it is Christmas time. You can gift memberships, as Moen just mentioned. I'll quickly run the video so you know exactly where to find those things on the website. 1 second.
Become a member of Big 12 Mafia by going to our homepage and hitting the join button located next to the subscribe button in the upper right corner. There are several membership levels to choose from.
There we go. It's pretty simple. Thank you, Moen, again for putting that together. All right. Before we jump into this, and everybody's excited about National Signing Day. We got 41 people, and it's a Wednesday night. I know people are out shopping for Christmas and doing everything else, so I really am impressed by how many people are here tonight. In fact, before we get started, let's do some hellos and thank yous. First of all, I'm going to leave that David Hackett up there for a bit because he's a new member. BR is finally back, and he's green. That's great to have you here, BR. Joe Z We have Dallas Marquez, who's also a member.
Nice.
Let's see here. He's got a comment here. I went to the Cotton Bowl when BYU played K-State. It was a really good game. It was a good game. And Kansas State that year was very good. They were very good that year.
That was the 96 game, right? I was in Germany. I think I was
Yep.
in Bosnia during that.
Oh, is that right? You were deployed over there? Oh, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. We'll have to talk about that offline. I'm a history nut, so.
Oh, I've been everywhere.
That's really, really cool. Let's see here. Daniel Gygax is in the house. Glenn Lumen, all the way from where? The Philippines. We are an international outfit. Daniel Gygax, Don in Kansas. Moth Prof is here. Nathan Campbell is here. Mr. Monkey says. Let's see. Caden's dad. Merry Christmas, guys. I love when you guys say hello to each other. We love that. We are a family. We want you guys to feel that way. The Big Lubbock says, who is the Shouty Sheik? Who are you, Saudi Sheik?
I am taking my talents to the Big 12 Mafia.
And that would be the Unabomber from Michigan. I love that. That's fantastic. Jeff Woodworth is in the house. He says, Michigan will always be famous for bombs and broken vacuums. Somebody's going to have to tell me the broken vacuum inside.
That was the Connor Stallions company. His homeowners association filed on him for having too many broken vacuums.
That is so stupid. And then we'll end it with Kaufman. Kaufman says, hello, all glad to make a live show again. We're glad you're here, Kaufman. It's great to see you. Okay. National Signing Day means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Representing BYU, first full year now that we're getting some P5 access for recruiting, it changes. Everything changes. But for somebody like Moen, I'm going to start with Moen first at Ohio State. Tell us kind of how you feel your recruiting has gone. And I'm happy to display the 247 rankings if you'd like to see them while you're talking.
Well, we've lost a couple commits, but we didn't lose the ones that were most important. We had the kid flip to Oregon. We had the defensive tackle out of Chicago ended up flipping to Miami because Miami paid him more. But we signed Jeremiah Smith. We've got him on paper, the nation's #1 recruit, listed as a generational talent at receiver. You might have to scroll all the way down to see him.
I'm thinking that. Yeah, I'm just trying to find him. Jeremiah Smith?
Yep, 99.
Let's check him out. I think that's exciting if you can get somebody that's generational. All right, go ahead.
Generational, and that's saying a lot considering some of the guys we've had come out on wide receiver at Ohio State. Think Marvin Harrison Jr. This guy's a hybrid between Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Okay.
He can catch a ball with one hand. It's ungodly the way this kid can catch a ball with one hand. I mean, it's just like plucking a pear off a tree for this kid. And Brian Hartline's gonna push this kid to the moon and back. He's a future offensive rookie of the year in the NFL.
Wow, that good. And he's a true freshman?
He can't miss.
Okay.
So.
And he's a true freshman?
He will be a true freshman, yes.
Okay. All right. Anybody else you want to highlight?
Aaron Nolan's going to be our new quarterback that's coming in.
Aaron Nolans. Let me see if I can find him.
He might not be on there. Let's see.
It should be the whole 20.
There he is. Aaron Nolan.
Aaron Nolan. Whoa, that's his name is Air.
Okay.
Yes, wow,
that's a legitimate name.
That is, you got to be really good if your name is Air.
24/7 has him as a 4-star. Some other people have him as a 5-star. Threw for 10,000 yards in the state of Georgia.
Oh, my Lord.
Goodness.
And that tells you something. In the state of Georgia, they play some pretty damn good high school football. So when you can go down there and throw for 10,000 yards, and Ohio State got him right out of the Georgia's backyard. So Georgia lost Dylan Raiola. I was a little worried that once that happened, that Georgia might start sniffing around Aaron Nolan, but no, he's committed to the Ohio State. Can't wait to see this kid get on the field and play. He's going to have to sit behind Devin Brown and Lincoln Kleinholz a little bit, but he's got an arm on him. He has some accuracy things he still has to work on, but he does have a cannon on him, and the receivers we've got at Ohio State can just just outrun everybody and catch that ball. So we're really excited. But the other one I want to talk about is Edric. Pull him up.
Yep.
Defensive tackle.
Edric Houston.
Yep. Yeah, we were very, very certain that he was going to Alabama today. And Larry Johnson was able to pull it out. So God bless Larry Johnson. Every year this comes around, we get people hit us with the Larry Johnson is retiring this year, and they use that to all the prospects to try and get them to vote. Larry Johnson isn't retiring. He develops elite defensive ends. Unfortunately, JTT and Jack Sawyer didn't live up to their potential, but I mean, you've got a history of Chase Young, Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa. We're going to really develop this kid. This is why at Ohio State it's hashtag developed here. We develop talent to put them in the NFL.
I love it. And it's this type of deep dive that we like to give, especially to the schools we care about, right? And we understand that there's a lot of people out there, and you can see in the comments, there's a lot of people active right now about how their schools did. We'll get to those, okay? I'm not saying I'm going to talk to every point, but I'm going to do everything I can to make this interactive. I've only got one story that covers realignment / Florida State / the ACC that we'll get to. But yeah, we're today's National Signing Day. All right, Moen, that's fantastic. Thanks so much for doing that. Okay, yeah. Let's talk about Utah. So, Sarge, first of all, how do you feel about the recruiting class that you guys got tonight?
Well, it's not what we were used to, but from what I'm reading and seeing, we got so much coming back that Utah kind of laid off somewhat. I don't know how true all that is, but hey, I'm going to go with it. Because they have so many people coming back next year, and they're relying more on the portal this time.
Okay.
So, but other than all, they got some really good guys. They got, 5 of the top or 6 of the top 10 or something like that out of the state.
Okay, that's good.
It's a crazy number.
Isaac Wilson was probably one of your best, right?
Yeah. And Georgia was trying to make a mad dash for him at the last minute, and Utah managed to keep him.
Yeah, I was actually we'll have to see. Now, is he going on an LDS mission, or is he playing?
From what I understand, he's redshirting next year. He's supposed to have surgery or something in this offseason.
Oh, okay.
That's what I heard.
So you don't know if he's going on a mission then?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I have no idea.
There is a chance, and this is something that is starting to happen between BYU and Utah. Now that they're pretty much on equal footing, at least as far as recruiting goes, they have access to the same type players. When these kids go away on their missions, they're doing everything else but football for 2 years. And it's something we've tried to stress over and over again. When you hear all these, Utah has 24, 25-year-old guys, and, they have 5 children and all this other garbage. Look, the players are going to be older, but they're going to be out of shape. And it takes almost 18 months, if not 2 years, to get back into competitive shape after you've gone on a mission. So it's not the worst thing to have these players either sit a year or to go on missions and come back. But then that opens up the possibility they can switch. And BYU had one of those switches today. But do you know if Utah got any back?
That I don't know. I really don't follow that too much. But okay. From what I did hear is BYU did flip one of Utah's that just came back off a mission.
That's right. We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was a big deal for BYU. I mean, it didn't affect Utah's quite as much, I think.
Right.
But BYU really needs to start racking in these players.
Well, you guys got our legacy,
Oh, that's right. Asiata. Yep, we'll talk about
I'm not upset. Let the kid go play where he wants to play. That's how I see it.
And that's why you and I get along, Sarge, is because you can have a reasonable conversation just like you can. It doesn't have to be rancorous, right? You can be competitive.
Nope, it doesn't have to be.
Without being a dick. Anyway, let's see here. Is there anybody else you really want to mention? I watched this Isaiah Garcia kid play. He is excellent.
Yeah, if you want to scroll down, it's one of the transfer. The guy that I know he's coming from FCS from Idaho, but I've seen some highlights on him, and he can run people over.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find him. He's a transfer from the University
Iowa.
of Iowa. It's
Idaho, not Iowa. Idaho.
Yeah. Do you know? Let's see here.
Anthony
Daily, you
Woods.
guys.
Yeah,
this
we got
really
him.
sucks. You got him from BYU.
BYU.
That was a big loss for BYU. Let's see here. Is it this Keenan Johnson guy? No, he's a cornerback.
No, he's up. It's Anthony Woods.
Oh, he's this guy. Okay. What do you want to tell about him?
I was just saying, I just saw some good video on him, and he looked like he was playing Cal, and he was just running over Cal players like they weren't even there.
Do you remember how many yards he had last year? It was significant, wasn't it?
Actually, I do not know.
Let's see if they have his ranks in here. I watched one of his videos. What was interesting, and this is going to be part of the rivalry stuff, is that it used to be Utah used to beat up BYU when in recruiting, because specifically BYU was a lot of their talent was coming from junior college and not coming out of high school. They weren't winning those recruiting battles. Now here's Utah signing somebody from the FCS. I think that's significant, right? It shows things have changed a little bit.
The way I see it, Utah's still ahead, but BYU is going to catch up. I keep telling everybody BYU will catch up. It might take longer, but they're doing good things. Like I had nothing but good things to say about Hill today on there, saying, "Hey, let him work his magic and get you guys up there."
You talking about Jay Hill? Guy's a stud. Yeah.
I think he's. I can't remember. I don't think he's one that Utah fired, like Broderick, but.
Yeah, Roderick, the offensive coordinator, they let him go. I think Jay Hill
I think he left for a coaching position.
He did, didn't he? Yeah. He went to, wasn't it? Was he either?
I think
Utah
he went
State
left to go. I think he left for Weber State, didn't he?
Well, he came from Weber. I'm not sure where he went to. Maybe he went to Weber too.
I know. Yeah.
Anyway, so is there anything else you want to talk about these commits for Utah?
There was one more. There was two more that other other schools were trying to get that I read. I just can't remember who they were, but Texas was coming after somebody that Utah had, and so did USC, and they stuck with Utah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think it was David Washington might have been one, or I can't remember. I just saw it like right before I came up here to join the show.
Okay. I'm going to ask Moen a question, since he's a third party, but he respects what the rivalry is. Where do you see this coming out in 5 years, these two schools, Moen?
BYU and Utah?
Yeah.
Utah's going to be pretty dominant in the Big 12. I know you don't want to hear that.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think they've got and I think this is, I should preface this. I am saying this because I believe Jed Fish will leave Arizona for Michigan. When Harbaugh leaves, it gets booted out of Michigan or leaves, whatever happens first.
Okay.
So I see Utah being the dominant team in the Big 12. I think they have the best coach in Whittingham. Consistency. That's all that program's been since Whittingham took it over. So I'm going to put Utah right there near the top. BYU.
So I said 5 years, just so you know. Mm-hmm. Whittingham has talked about retiring.
I know.
He's there in 5 years.
Well,
I'm just qualifying it. I'm just saying
he's a disciple of Urban Meyer, so who knows if he's going to retire.
And he came from BYU, if you really want to talk about it. So
he played at BYU and did 1 year of what do you want to call it? Graduate assistant under Lavelle.
He did. He is a Lavelle.
BYU. Yeah, BYU is the bigger question mark to me.
Right.
Especially offensively. Watching them last year, I never knew who they were week to week.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Sometimes they'd go out there and they just play, and you'd be like, wow, they're playing fantastic, and they're executing. Right. And then the next week they'd go out there and they'd look like a prep team.
Worse than a prep team, yeah.
Worse than a prep team. So I think BYU's got the bigger question marks, but I like Utah in the Big 12. I think they should play that villain role to the max.
I think they will.
Be the final boss, Utah. Be the final boss.
Yeah. I think it's look, we could do this all day. We don't need to talk rivalry stuff all the time. But having studied both, I grew up in Pac-12 land. I'm from the Pacific Northwest, and understanding that BYU was going to probably land eventually in the Big 12. I've been paying attention to both these leagues for decades, and I can just tell you right now, from a competitive balance on the overall, minus this last year, the Big 12 is a tougher league, top to bottom, than the Pac-12 is. Now, this last year was an aberration. And I think you're going to have more schools come back to the mean. But I think Utah's going to be good. But in my opinion, just saying they're just going to walk in because they've got Kyle Whittingham and this loaded, Cam could blow his knee out again and they could win 6 games. It could be that bad.
It could happen, but like I said, consistency.
It's true. It's true. You're right.
It depends on who. We got people, our backup quarterbacks are leaving for a reason, probably because there's no slot. So
right,
Whittingham's got something up his sleeve.
Well, letting Nate Johnson go, I thought was huge.
Yeah, and he's at Vanderbilt now. So
right, well, and he came in as a 4-star, right? Wasn't Nate Johnson? I thought you told me he was a 4-star.
I think he was.
Texas.
I think I saw today. Hold on, I can tell you right now.
Yeah, I'm curious about that because him transferring I thought was remarkable. Just because Cam's coming back there's no guarantee he's going to play the whole season. He plays reckless. He's going to have to change. Put it this way, Cam is going to have to change the way he plays football a little bit if he's going to survive the entire season. The Big 12's, I think, much more punishing than the
Nate Johnson was a 4-star.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought that was right.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to do BYU right now, and I want to just set a couple things off. First, we want to, let's see. Well, Sergeant Pickles came out and given me a super chat. I didn't see that. Sorry about that, Pickles. He says, Moan, if you steal Kirk's, I take it personally.
We don't steal.
That's Michigan. All right. So tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to do a special BYU National Signing Day show. It's going to have Devin Blackman. It's going to have Jeff Fuller. There's other people I'm talking to. We're going to have Jake from Coug Connects going to be there. That's the NIL I support. So I encourage everybody who's a BYU fan or even a Big 12 fan, come watch us tomorrow, and we're going to talk about this National Signing Day. It's my show, so I get to do this little thing right now. But I encourage everybody to join me tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern. We're gonna really focus on BYU. I'm just gonna highlight some of these players really quick. So first of all, let me set this straight. BYU, there's no doubt about it, has struggled recruiting in the independence era. There's no doubt about it. They couldn't offer a championship. They couldn't offer really a path to the college football playoff. And so they struggled to recruit. And Utah has owned them for over a decade. And for BYU, we've taken that personally. So what we're doing now is we're working hard to do a few things. Get as many LDS players as we can. That's the Church of Jesus Christ. That's what BYU is for. Mm-hmm. And then all the in-state players as much as possible. BYU and Utah are going neck and neck with a lot of these players. There's one I want to highlight, and this is a big deal. Ephraim Asiata. So tell everybody why the name Asiata is important, Sarge.
He's the son of Matt Asiata, the great running back for Minnesota for years.
And
he's a Utah legacy.
Yep. That's right. So this is a big flip for a legacy that goes to Utah normally, coming to BYU. That's a big deal. And I want to just emphasize that these are just baby steps. BYU's not jumping over buildings. They won 5 games last year. Moen, as a third party, has definite questions that I think need to be answered. But we can say the ship is facing the right direction now. I think this last year pulled the ship around. I don't think we're going to have another down year next year, especially if we can get a quarterback that's consistent. So this win for BYU is more about perception than it is about skill necessarily. The perception that BYU was able to flip a Utah legacy, and the fact that we're starting to get some of these players that we've been just basically giving to Utah, weren't even able to compete with. Let's talk about NIL for a minute. Moen, what's the exposure at Ohio State for the NIL? Is it 5 to 7 million?
Probably more.
Okay.
We don't really actually know that number's not released to us, but
right, it's not publicly traded normally. Right,
it's not traded. What Coach Day has said in the past is 17.
Wow, to be competitive.
17.
I thought it was 7.
It might have been 7. I'm thinking.
Yeah, I
of
thought it
another
was
one.
7.
From what I've heard of Miami, though, I've heard Miami is 20 plus million,
which is
the
ridiculous.
University of Miami.
So let's go to let's just really quick. I'm going to come back to BYU, but you bring up this point we talked about last night. I want to capture it right now. Miami, where are they even at? They're number 1. They're number 3 right now.
They're number 3 right here.
So let's just pop them up. So you're saying for $25 million, this is what you get: an overall rank of 4, composite 3, and a transfer rank of 44. That means they're really relying on their in-state recruits.
Justin Scott, they flipped from Ohio State. I have heard $1 million range for Justin Scott.
One player.
Kid's never played a snap in college football.
He is big though.
He's a great. I mean, look at him. He's at 3rd rank in that for defensive tackle.
Right.
There's a couple
7
other
national.
Kids.
That's something else.
Okay? Yeah. There's some other kids on here too that are getting $1 million paydays. Miami made a hell of an offer to Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith said they threw money. They told him to name a figure to come play at Miami, and he decided to stick with Ohio State.
That is remarkable. Absolutely out of. So last night we talked about potentially having a salary cap for NIL. There's a lot of things you can put in play to help even that playing field out. But right now, do you guys believe there's any, from the school standpoint, do they want regulation? Miami probably doesn't want
Miami
regulation.
doesn't. Some schools do, obviously.
Right.
I bet you some of the smaller schools like us, I could say, I'd want it for us because it's putting us on a uneven playing field.
Absolutely right. And I agree with you guys both 100%. I think that's true. I do believe it needs not only regulation, but it needs a salary cap, and it needs to be something that is publicly traded. It can't be a private school, public school deal. BYU doesn't show numbers to a lot of their operations because they're a private school, so they can hide that stuff. NIL should be everybody all the same, and it should be a limit, and maybe a limit per graduating class or something. I'm not sure how you do it, but I can't believe it'd be that hard to just say flat 10 million is all you can do every year.
Yeah, you're going to have people do. Yeah, you're going to go back. You're going to go right back to the bagmen. Nobody's going to abide by it.
Well,
nobody's going to abide by it. I mean, Miami, like I said, to pay a kid $1 million who hasn't played a snap of college ball before. What if that kid busts on you?
Right.
$1 million. I mean, to go 7-5 at Miami instead of coming to Ohio State and competing for national titles. But
right.
Hey, go be on a middling ACC team that nobody wants.
Boy, and the ACC struggling. If you look at the overall ranks, the ACC's teams have taken a hit. And I think part of that is because of what happened to Florida State, which, again, is just crazy.
Yeah, I'd love if we could actually see the team ranks and see who.
Well, there is a way to do it. I was playing with the filters. By the way, let me post this link so everybody has access to it. I'm going to put it in the comment section. We're 247 site. You could Google it or just click on that link, and you could do this searches yourself. But at the top here, you can go by league.
Cool.
You can do it by points, number of stars. There's there's all kinds of filters. I think one that I would like to see, let's just go to the ACC and just see what that looks like right now. So you have Miami, Florida State, top 2. Clemson is obviously 3. And these are doing okay. North Carolina State. Overall rankings. Let's see. There's an average ranking. It doesn't tell us what the overall in comparison is, though. Moen.
If you go to all, it should.
Well, yeah. That's originally what we were looking at. Was all.
Yeah, that's what I was interested in. And
okay.
Seeing who they had ranked. Look at Miami. They've got Miami as the 3rd ranked class
right now. Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Based on what? Miami hasn't done anything since Ohio State beat them in 2002. That's the impact of NIL.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the impact of NIL right there. Teams literally throwing as much money as they possibly can to try and land recruits. Look at Oregon. Oregon's another one that I've heard in that $20 million range for NIL.
That's not a shock.
Well, and how much of that it comes directly from
Phil
Nike.
Knight.
Yeah. I'm sure most of it is Nike NIL.
You were going to say something, Sarge?
Oh, I said, yeah. I would say something about Oregon. I said, that's not a shock. It all probably comes from Phil Knight. All the money.
Well, that's true.
But I can say something about Miami. Wait till these kids get down there and have to play in that very, very heavy air in the humidity that they're bringing in. It's kind of rough down.
And that's why there's so many transfers from year to year.
Yep.
That's the reason. You know what? We all had the example. The exemplar was Texas A&M. For 3 years, they were the 1st or 2nd best recruiting class. That's a long time. That's enough to turn over an entire staff.
Mm-hmm.
And they win 4 or 5 games. So it's not just the recruiting. Recruiting doesn't win football games.
I think for Texas A&M's first year in the SEC was probably their best one, right? Under with Manziel at the quarterback.
Yeah, that was Manziel. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. All right, so let me get back to BYU here. Just a few other things I wanted to note. Reiner Swanson, 4-star. He's going to be a fantastic receiver for them. We talked about Ephraim Naziata. Devo Tuataga, this guy's a monster. He lives out at Eagle Mountain. I actually used to live out there. I haven't seen his live tape, but I've watched some of his video, and I'm surprised he's only a 3-star. I'm not sure where they're seeing holes in his game. Let's see here. Noah Lugo, he's a 3-star coming in as a quarterback. We have a couple quarterbacks coming in. They are considering going on missions, though. So that is one thing with BYU. You see all these commitments, but there will be a portion of these that go on missions we don't even see next year. Let's see here. Enoch Watson, he was a fantastic quarterback. And if you either him or Noah Lugo, look their video up on YouTube. They're pretty good. They can sling it. Tay Nakua, everybody knows who Puka Nakua is. This is the last of the brothers.
I was going to ask if he was the last one.
I think actually I should qualify that. I think he is. I guess I can't guarantee it. But he is a fantastic receiver. Absolutely.
I know there's like an older one, right?
There's
he was all 3 of them. There's 3 that have already played for BYU that I'm tracking.
That's right. Yeah, he's going to be the 4th one, and I think he is the last one. Let's see here if we get anybody. I mean, Sonny Tuala, all these guys. Tomorrow we're going to dive into each one of these players in that recruiting special for BYU at 8 Eastern. But the bottom line is BYU, and we've even got some transfers in, and we've swung some of these commits as well. I was trying to find the one that came from Utah besides Ephraim. There was another one. I'm just is it Luke? Is it Luke Tuamalatai?
I can't remember. I
can't remember. I'm gonna have to go and look that up because he is a stud. And I apologize, I don't have his name off the top of my head, but I will tomorrow, and we'll talk about that. Anything else you guys want to mention about these before we get to some of the comments from people that are watching the show? This is supposed to be interactive at all.
Where's Michigan at on that list?
Ooh, let's look. Well, we know they're not number 1.
It was.
Let's see.
I don't know
Michigan
how to say
is
his 15th.
name.
15th. I wonder if we just saw Jim Harbaugh got hit with the first Class 1 violation
He did,
for the
yes.
COVID stuff today. I wonder if that's having an impact on their recruiting.
I gotta believe there's got to be something. I mean, it's not in a vacuum, so there has to be something to it. But yeah, 15. That seems pretty. I mean, behind Tennessee and Penn State, that kind of surprises me. They've been undefeated for 2 years, basically. That's hard to believe.
I know who your flipper was now.
Oh, who was it?
Viliami Paua.
Oh, Paua. That's right. He's the quarterback. Or sorry, the coach's son.
Yep.
Where is he at?
Which?
There it is. Viliami Paua, right?
Yep.
And
yep. He just went with his dad. That's pretty much what it was. I don't blame him.
Truth in advertising, his father is a coach at BYU. So
yep.
He left. He was originally a Utah commit.
Yep.
His dad worked for Utah when he left on his mission. BYU hired him. He comes back from his mission, and now he's at BYU. So doing truth in lending there. I want to make sure everybody knows how that story went down. Okay, let's get to some of these comments that I know you guys are all excited about your schools. I have not been able to follow this live, these chats. You guys are going to have to help me out a little bit if there's any that has stuck out to you. Daniel Gygax, the super chat, $4.99. He says, the NFL put in a rookie salary cap for Jamarcus Russell. College athletics can do the same. I don't see why they can't. Where there's a will, there's a way. That's my opinion. What do you guys think about that comment?
They can do something. I'm wondering if the NCAA is scared because everything they do now gets shot down by the courts.
Yeah, they could do something. They won't.
Right. Well, it's worth a shot. I think anything is better than what we've got. That's, I guess, what I would say. I don't like the conditions we're in now. Thank you, Daniel, for that super chat. Daniel's also a member. So we appreciate you being here and being a member, Daniel. Thank you. Do a quick reminder, if you would like to, out of your Christmas spirit, give gift memberships, you can do that down at the bottom of the screen where you do the comment section. Click that little icon that looks like a gift, and boom, you can give some of these memberships out. We're a family here. Everybody that's a viewer, really appreciate you being here. And if you're in a Christmas spirit, feel free to hit that gift link. All right, let's get to some of these comments because I've seen some good ones. I wasn't able to do a ton of dual screening, so I'm going to get to a few that I flagged, and then we can also look for some others. If there's any in there you guys want to talk about, let me know, okay? First of all, I'm going to start with this one from the Big Lubbock. Can you show the top 10 prospects in the schools the top 10 went to? This is supposedly the first time the top 10 went to 10 different schools. That's a fact. I read that last night. I don't know if there's a filter.
If you scroll up, I just close that video with Josh Pate.
Okay. Is there a way to close it?
Yeah, use an ad blocker.
This class calculator, this one?
No. If you scroll down on the right-hand side, they usually have. Just keep scrolling.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, right
Here's
here.
Your top
okay.
10.
Why is this here? I don't even know what this is.
It's an ad.
I have never seen that before. All right. Well, since I don't have the paid version, we'll just go with what we can see. Lubbock. Here we go. So Jeremiah Smith was Ohio State, number 1. Moen was just talking about that. This Williams Nwaneri went to Missouri. That was a big deal. That was in the news in the summer, and the reason that was in the news is because Missouri passed a law that said they could pay more in their NIL. I'm now not remembering.
They could pay in-state high school kids.
That's right. They can pay high school kids, which then allows them to feed into their universities if they stay in state. That's right. Which again is just an aberration. L.S. Robinson, Georgia. Cam Coleman went to Auburn. Julian Sand went to Alabama. Dylan Raiola, everybody knows who he is, went to Nebraska. That's a huge move because originally he's bounced all over. He was originally supposed to go to Georgia. Then he transferred to USC. Is that right? Do I have that right? And now he's at Nebraska.
Hey, he's been everywhere, man.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see, whoever we got. Micah Hudson is here, and he's out of Texas Tech. So I know I've got some Texas Techies in here. Let's
there's a
see
couple.
here. Yeah, Mike Smith. We'll get to his comment right now. Texas Tech being the first in the Big 12 and the UCF. And UCF is the shocker with second place. Let's talk about Big 12. This is a Big 12 show after all. Let me get to the conferences because I think this is a big deal. Let me see. I have to get the right conference. Let's see. Is that the right conference? Give me a filter.
That might be Big 10 right there. If it goes number
wise, it's got to be one of them. Let's see what this is. Big 10 is the second one. So,
oh wow.
Let's see what this one is. I'm not sure how they sorted them. Big 12. So Texas Tech right now is first. TCU. Not that it matters. This is a live ticker. Maybe 5 minutes ago, UCF was number 2, but regardless, TCU is number 2 composite. UCF is number 3, which is everybody knows UCF is a sleeping giant because they're in Florida. Moen, I know you have strong feelings about that.
Yeah, I mean, Florida and Texas are probably your 2 best recruiting grounds. So it's not hard for them to go into their own backyard and grab these kids.
Right.
So
there's a school right here in the town that I am living in that a lot of people probably heard of, but don't really know how big of a deal it is. The IMG Academy.
Oh yeah, we've heard of it. You bet.
It is. Yeah. It's a big time school right here where I'm at.
That's right, and it's a private pay to play kind of school too.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, it's a feeder for all these top brands in college football, and then to the NFL. There's a ton of IMG people.
So
in the NFL.
All these Florida schools have really good access to it. They don't. They only have to drive a few hours, and they're here.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to bring something else up. I mentioned this on Twitter. I'm not sure how many people saw it, but BYU, the 4-year schedule came out for the Big 12, and BYU actually has UCF 3 times. And there were a bunch of people that were complaining about that. They're like, oh, we don't want to go to Florida. It's too far to travel, all this, that, and the other. And I said, you're looking at it completely upside down. 3 games is that many times they're going to be exposed to those players in Florida. And you have to look at it that way. I know that's how Ohio State looks at it. It's recruiting grounds. And if you're being exposed to those players, you never know. You might be able to get 1 or 2. We got a DB from Georgia this year. That's insane. A DB coming to BYU from Georgia, non-LDS. That wouldn't have happened 10 years ago.
We had somebody from Georgia, I think, in the last class.
Did you?
Just like and we've had a couple. Of course, everybody knows about the Hollandale 3 that already came out of Miami. Tyler Huntley and all that, and Zach Moss, and
that was 7-8 years ago.
Yeah, and then we got we got a couple guys from up by not far from UCF from Lakeland.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, anybody that can recruit Texas and Florida, as Moen said, is going to do well. If you can't, you're going to not win a lot of games. That's just bottom line. And BYU and Utah are in the same boat in that regard.
Yeah, Utah. As a matter of fact, I plan on going to the game next year because it's here in UCF. I'll drive 3 hours. I don't care.
I think I told my wife we could turn it into a Disney World trip. She can go to Disney World. I can go to the football game.
Yeah. Technically, I live in USF territory, but USF really doesn't have a territory.
So you're up by Tampa then?
I'm south of Tampa. In the Sarasota area, Bradenton area.
I know where Sarasota is.
Okay. Yeah, I work in Sarasota.
Let's just look here. So we have a new Big 12, which is 16 teams. Who cares about the number? Let's just go through these really quick. We got a bunch of people I know involved, and if you guys have had comments about these and I've missed them, I'm going to try to cover a lot of them here. Hopefully we can answer those. So Texas Tech's number 1, TCU's number 2. UCF, I don't think is a surprise, is number 3. And I'm not sure what their national number is. Let's just quickly look at what their national composite is. 36 with a 32 with the transfers. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good, especially for a first-time P5 recruiting class. Kansas, number 4. They're going to be good again next year. Arizona State, number 5.
Yeah.
So there, of all the Four Corner schools, Arizona State comes in highest for those as those schools rate.
And that's a
does
shocker
that
to
surprise
me.
you? I was going to say, Sarge, does that shock you a little bit?
A little bit, because they haven't been doing too hot. So I guess Dillingham's going to be doing something down there. He's trying to get built up.
We'll see. I don't know. I think I was at that Utah game, and or Arizona State Utah game. He did not look like he had anything put together. So I don't know. I have questions about Arizona State.
Well, everybody also has to remember all these numbers are going to change again in February.
Right.
When
that's right. The second window. That's right. Well, there's actually technically a third one that happens in June or the end of May.
Yeah, something like that. But that's where Utah's numbers have always skyrocketed, was during the second window.
I think BYU was number 13 or something like that at the end of the transfer portal. The second portal window last year. I think they were 13 in the country. So BYU and Utah have been very good in that area. West Virginia, number 6. I think that's good for them. Arizona. So we have Arizona State, now Arizona. Does that shock you, Sarge?
Arizona? No, not really.
Okay.
Not after seeing what they put together last year.
Okay. All right. Cincinnati, then, it comes in as the next one of the newer schools. Iowa State. And then BYU's gone up 2 ranks. Now, it might not seem like a lot to you guys, but for BYU to be 10 today is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, they were 12 a little while ago, like before I came.
They were. They were. Yep. They've done a really good job this year. That's all you can say about it. Oklahoma State. So I've got some Oklahoma State people in the comments. Let me see if I can find somebody. Oklahoma State. One of my Oklahoma State people, post one of your comments right this second, and I'll grab it because I can't go back and find it. Because I'm surprised that they're at 11, and I'm really curious what they think about that. Is there anybody of Oklahoma State in here? Let me see. Rock Chalks, Kansas, Mike Smith. No,
maybe they're getting a lot out of the portal. I don't know.
I don't know. That's why I want to ask. I was going to bring, if we can leave that open. If there's somebody from Oklahoma State right now that wants to join the show live, I have questions, because I am really shocked by that, especially the way you guys finished the year this year. Then Kansas State, to me, that's another surprise.
Utah went up. They were 15 a while ago.
Yeah, I'm going to get to Utah and give you a minute on that, because there's been a lot of griping on Twitter I'm going to ask you about. So let's see here. I've got Kansas State here. Let's see. It's not Cleveland Rocks. All right, somebody from Kansas State, post you want to join the show. Just say, hey, me, and I'll post the link and you can join, because I have questions about Oklahoma State. I have questions about Kansas State. While I'm waiting for those people to volunteer to join the show, let's talk about Utah. So on Twitter today, I have seen a lot of disgruntled Utah fans. But you come in very optimistic. Can you tell me the dichotomy? What's going on there?
I really don't know. A lot of them I stopped paying attention to because of my little issues. I stopped paying attention because I don't want to get angry.
Right.
But
I appreciate that. Yeah.
But I try to keep a level head. So my point is let the kids go where they want to go. Everybody just needs to, and stop paying attention to this. I don't pay attention to this number here. I pay attention to what happens on the field. Because Utah's known for, taking somebody that is supposedly nothing and making them into something. That's how I look at it. So
BYU and Utah have always been known for that.
Mm-hmm.
Always. For history. For 50, 60 years.
Yep. Always. And I don't think they'll ever change. I think it's ingrained.
Well, the reason is geography, right? Yeah. The state's growing. We're just over 3 million people, which is crazy. When I moved here, it was barely 2. So, and that's only been 26 years. So it is a surprise that, we're starting to do as well as we have. Go ahead.
I was saying we got to flip-flop because I left in 1990.
Okay, I came in behind you. I was like 97.
Yeah.
All right. So I appreciate that. That's an explanation. I also did read, to give credit to Utah fans, and if Ute was here, I know he could speak to this, but they only have 14 commits. Their numbers are not very high. You mentioned it earlier. The next window in January is when those other players are supposed to be hitting, right?
That's usually when it happens. I can't say that's what's going to happen, but that's usually what happens.
Right. I think that's fair. I think
I
that's a lot fair.
I also think they're going to rely more heavily on the portal. They're right now.
Yep, I agree with you. All right, and then let's get through the bottom here. Baylor had a horrible year. That is not a surprise. In fact, I think Dave Aranda is fighting for his life, his job. He's fired everybody he could fire. So the next one it has to be him if he doesn't win this year. Houston, there's no shock there. But 6 commits at Colorado. What is this?
I guess he's waiting on the transfer portal. I think he thinks the transfer portal is the magic button.
So let's look at Colorado, because that blows me away.
I think the same thing. I think he likes the portal.
Overall rank, they're still 21st. I don't understand. I don't
transfer rank though. They're number 1 transfer rank.
Right, yeah. Right. But how does it? I don't know how these numbers work, so I'm not even going to get into that. But I mean, look how 4-star. He has amazing players, but he's only got 6 of them, and then he's got 16 transfers.
Yeah, he plays the portal.
And look at that, Pitt, University of Houston, Alabama. You got Vanderbilt, TCU, LSU, Liberty, Kentucky, Vanderbilt. Boy, they're robbing the SEC. Cincinnati, Indiana, UTEP. That's interesting. And then North Carolina State, Houston lost 2. UConn, I don't think that should surprise anybody. That is a lot of transfers.
Yeah.
So they won 4 games next year. Do you guys think he wins 6 next year?
Anything's possible. I'm not going to make a claim on what's going to happen.
Well, we're in the prediction game here, Sarge, so you got to put yourself out there. You don't have to. I'm teasing you.
No, I don't. I think he's right. I honestly do think he might win some more.
Right.
But I just don't. I just think some egos might get bruised again.
I appreciate that. All right. You see any other comments in here, Moen, you want to run through? We could dive in anywhere you want. Just point me to it.
Yeah, just bringing up the Florida recruiting ground things. I think that's a great segue into Florida State.
Oh, you want to talk Florida State? You want to go there?
Let's talk about Florida State.
Let's talk about Florida State. Turn the page. All right. Tomorrow, 8:00 Eastern, BYU and recruiting. We might get back to recruiting, but this is really something that's very important, and we want to pass this on again. And more news. I don't know if news necessarily, but reports coming out. This one is on ESPN Plus. It says Pete Thamel put it out. I'm going to post the link to it right here because we always give credit to the people who do the creations. You're welcome to read the article yourself, but basically what this says is FSU's upset. No shock there, right? Florida State is very upset, and they're taking this very seriously. And I think some of the things that people need to call out, and I read through this very quickly before the show, but this second paragraph I think is really telling, and I want to talk about it for a minute. It says, in February, Florida State officials put the ACC on alert, with athletic director Michael Alford declaring something has to change for Florida State to remain a consistent national contender despite the ACC's money gap when compared to the SEC and the Big Ten. In August, which we've talked about, if you've been a follower of our show, we've talked about this since April, actually, but it really came heavy in the end of July and then into August. In August, school president Richard McCullough said the school will very seriously consider leaving the league unless there were radical changes to the league's revenue distribution model. So I'm going to stop right there for a second and pause. And Moen, Big Ten guy, has insider information. There's stuff that we can't necessarily share on the air that is background, but you were speaking very, I don't want to say loudly, but pronounced about Florida State to the Big Ten. Where is that at right now?
We're waiting for him to leave the ACC. That's what it is. They have to give that withdrawal notice first. We cannot offer anybody anything from the ACC until they withdraw. So it's the ball's in their court. I'm sure there have been people talking back to in backroom dealings and through intermediaries, but the Big Ten is very, very interested in Florida State. I would say right now that Notre Dame has signed their new deal with NBC, Florida State is the number one expansion target for the Big Ten.
I'm just posting a link here to BR, who finally got back to me. When we get back to after we talk this Florida State stuff, we will dive back into a little recruiting. I wanted to get those comments about Oklahoma State. So I'm going to post a link right here. Everybody don't click it. This is just for BR. But when we get back to that comment, go ahead and click that BR and you can join us.
Yeah,
okay.
On Florida State side, it's also getting left out of the playoff.
That's right. That's right. And that's what the third paragraph says. Since the regular season ended, Florida State has been issuing scathing statements by officials at every level directed at the college football playoff. That includes Alford, again, very important person in the university, calling the decision to exclude the undefeated Seminoles unforgivable. So in layman's terms, everybody understands unforgivable, but at the athletic level, this is basically throwing down the gauntlet and saying enough is enough.
Yeah. And that was and the theory is that ESPN pushed that.
That's right.
But the interesting thing, really, you want to look at it, I think out of the top 10 teams, only one of them is not a Big Ten or an SEC team. Looking at the future, with like Washington, Oregon,
right,
Texas, Oklahoma, you've basically got a Big Ten SEC playoff right now. So and clearly with Bill Hancock writes a letter that calls it the so-called B5.
Right.
That is a passive-aggressive way to say the ACC is less than. He can come back and say that, oh, no, I was saying it because we never – but then they showed that, yes, that's your official language you've used. That was him saying that if you're in the ACC, we're not going to – you're going to get hit for being in the ACC, basically. You're going to take a hit. So for teams like Florida State, Clemson, that want to have national title hopes every single football season, they're not going to be able to achieve that in the ACC.
Sarge, you're in Florida. You probably have neighbors that are Florida State grads or at least rooting interests, right? How emotional is this in that state? Rick Scott, your senators out there trying to change the world with letters left and right, but they're just sort of fluffing him off because he doesn't really he can demand all he wants, but he's not going to get anything.
Well, he could start something up there and have them up there in front of a committee or something if he wanted, but I doubt it'll go that far personally, because remember when Utah did the same thing in 2009?
Right.
Nothing really happened, and then Utah got invited to the Pac-12, and it kind of like fizzled away.
Same thing happened to TCU.
Yep.
UCF, it's happened several times.
But honestly,
it's been to a premier
where I'm
program.
at, I don't know a lot of FSU fans, because my neighborhood itself is a mix of from everywhere. Okay. I can tell you right now, the majority of my neighborhood is Ohio State fans. Okay. And that's not a joke.
We're everywhere.
It's not a joke. And I'm actually not the only Ute fan around here either. So believe it or not, there's a few, not a lot, but a few.
I got you. All right, BR, just hang out there. I'll bring you on in a sec.
But
let's see
back to what you're going with, though.
Oh, sure.
Scott sent his letter, and then Ron DeSantis, our governor, he actually, said he put $1 million for FSU if they want to use it for legal fees.
Right. But $1 million is a drop in the bucket for what it would take to prosecute or at least try to get change. So we're looking at a very angry conference, and most important, a very angry and proud school that is going on right now. This report again is on ESPN. What that means is this is a little bit more than an athletic article. This is a little bit more than a Yahoo Sports article. This is ESPN reporting on itself, which they don't normally do that.
No.
If you'll get reports, they want to support themselves. They'll basically get in an echo chamber. Kirk Herbstreit says something. Everybody else that works for ESPN backs them up, and all of a sudden they're right all the time. So this article just being written is something pretty extraordinary. All right, let's get to a few other things. Let's see. They don't have a board meeting to do anything. It's all rhetoric. I like this year-long rhetoric. It's been going on for a while. And then we get into what they think they can do. And that would set the stage for a legal fight, standoff between Florida State and the ACC, which would be one of the highest stakes legal battles in college athletics history. There's been no known legal challenge to a grant of rights. Grant of rights agreement gives the conference full control over a school's media rights. The ACC currently owns all FSU home game content through 2036. We go farther down here, and I know you guys have been following this because you've been part of our show, but this is extraordinary because this is ESPN reporting on itself again. Let's see here. The first step would be Florida State officially deciding to declare action. They have to basically put in papers that says we want to do something with the ACC. They would have to try to challenge it. And then down here at the end, it's like, okay, what happens next? And then all of this, nothing happens. Because at the end of the day, they can't change the outcome today. So it's not going to get them into the playoff tonight. And the ACC and ESPN's contract is extremely tight, as Bob Thompson has told us on this show. So to wrap this up, anything else you want me to focus on this, Moen?
Just interesting that if you're to believe what Greg Flugar says, that Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State are basically in control of Big Ten expansion moving forward.
Okay.
The deep recruiting ground that is Florida, those three schools would absolutely love to have Florida State so that they could go in there and recruit kids and say, hey, you got to play in front of your friends and family when we come and visit Florida State on this date.
Right.
So we'll see. Again, Florida State has to make that declaration first. We can't make any kind of invitations or overtures or anything like that until they're free and clear from the ACC. But I read the Pete Thamel article that you posted. I felt it was a little passive aggressive, actually. Basically telling Florida State they can't do it, and
yes.
I don't know. I thought the athletic article was a little bit better. I thought it was a little less biased. Pete Thamel really comes from the point of view like the ACC grant of rights is impenetrable. Florida State can't do anything.
This jumped out at me, but there's no sign yet that the Big Ten covets FSU.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's yeah, I'll tell you right now, there's a sign right now, Pete Thamel. There's a sign, but we're not going to overtly show it because we don't want to get hit with tortuous interference. So
tampering.
Yeah.
And that is, there's a lot of concerns with antitrust. There's a lot of concerns with anti-competition, and also, what do you call them? Mafia, which is the NCAA, basically. They're going to make the rules up as they want to. And if they don't like the rules, they'll change them, and they won't tell you about them. And Greg Sankey will send you a letter about it. Or Bill Hancock will send you a letter. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. At the end of the day, Florida State has to have the will and the money to jump out, and the money could be extreme. And I don't know. I think they do. So a change will happen eventually, but I don't know where right here. So where would potentially hundreds of millions of dollars of cash come from? We've talked about private equity. We've talked about possibly an investor would come in and do something for the school from a subsidy basis, kind of like SMU has got boosters that have said, we'll underwrite you for 10 years. Anything, but they need that that one thing that'll let it break the cycle. And that's the thing. I just don't know.
Yeah, somebody has to make a move first. Somebody
Right.
has to stand up and say no. That's every revolution begins with a single word, people. And that's, is Florida
Exactly
State
right.
going to say that word? Is Clemson going to say it? Is North Carolina going to say it? We already know how the College Football Playoff Committee views the ACC. They sent a letter. It's a so-called Power Five. They're
Right.
basically acknowledging that we think the ACC is less than the Big Ten and the SEC, and to a lesser degree, the Big 12. They're basically calling it out and saying that, there is no Power Five anymore. There is the haves and the have-nots,
Yes.
and the ACC are have-nots.
And until something changes in the dynamic enough to make people feel like they want to put the money where their mouths are, that's not going to happen. Here's former FSU quarterback Drew Weatherford as a trustee, and he says he's been actively engaging other schools about private equity and its role in the future of college athletics. We've recently seen these ideas on Twitter about throwing conferences together and creating a super league to combat. In other words, it would be mass versus quality at that point. You have a bunch of schools, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you've got the quality that matches what the other two conferences have. So there's so much out there. I would just warn everybody. We're talking realignment. Until you see an announcement from somebody credible, I wouldn't count on any changes anytime soon.
That was my whole stance the whole time with the Utah going to the Big 12. Unless I see it from a credible source.
Now there are breadcrumbs though, Sarge.
Oh no, I got it, but Gonzalo wasn't the breadcrumb.
No. Well,
yeah, I'm just saying.
So I've talked to John. He's told me to come on my show. I haven't been able to get him yet, but we've DM'd back and forth, and basically I think John and Wilner, both Johns, were taken advantage of by the schools that were desperate. The Cal, Stanford, Washington State, Oregon State.
Yep, I think
they were
so
doing
too.
everything they can to put public face on the strength of the conference, to espouse its great things. They were the ones leaking all the information until Arizona State started doing it for some reason. And I just think we here, my team believes that the minute Oregon State the minute USC said they were leaving, that Washington and Oregon were not going to sign any grant of rights.
Oh, I believe the same thing.
Yeah, the conference was dead at that point. It's just a matter of how long it took.
I believe that.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else you want to say about this before we get back to Oregon State? I want to bring in BR.
Oh, that's it.
Okay. Let me go back here and let me bring up Oklahoma State. I'm going to add to the stage for the first time. BR, how you doing, man?
All right. How you guys doing?
We're doing really
well.
good. It's great to finally have you on, being the OG for all of my members. I really appreciate your loyalty. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. It's good to be on.
I hope we're giving you some entertainment every once in a while.
Oh, yeah. I love the show. Love the show.
Thank you so much. Don't hesitate to give me ideas or suggestions, okay? I want to invite that to everybody. All right, so tell me about Oklahoma State. What's going on here? They don't have the excuse that Colorado does. So tell me, about their standing in the Big 12, and is that a surprise to you?
No, our recruiting classes are never really strong as far as national rankings go. We tend to look for certain types of players and focus on those, regardless of how they're ranked. They look for schools that have coach mental toughness and physical toughness, and they like aggressive players that like to hit. And as long as they can meet certain speed and strength requirements. That Body by Glass, that program we have there for strength and training is just amazing, which is why Rob Glass is a top paid strength training coach in the country. He makes over $1 million a year.
So and that is a lot for a strength and training guy, actually.
Yeah.
So does this surprise you? Does this ranking surprise
No,
you?
not at all.
Okay.
We actually didn't need a lot of players. If you watch Coach Gundy's press conference today, they were expecting to get about 15 players commits. They're up to 17 now. So they're kind of up as far as the recruiting. They did actually get one from Utah as well, right out of Salt Lake City.
Right, Sarge mentioned that.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about the new schools that are coming in? You've now done this for a year, especially with BYU and Cincinnati, UCF, and Houston. Do you think that top to bottom balance has made it more competitive?
I believe so. I think that all the schools are going to find it's not really an easy, kind of like the basketball thing. It's not easy coming in and doing the grind week in and week out. I think some of the new teams this last year kind of found that out as the season went along, that it was really tough to keep up that grind game after game after game with teams that are really equally balanced for the most part. I think they're going to find it's pretty tough. I mean, because they don't get those weeks off like
Right.
they probably have been a little used to.
Right.
But I think most of the teams can come in and compete pretty well. Being already on the Power 5 level, I don't think it'll be quite as big a step up as some of the teams from last year faced.
Right. You're talking about Utah, Arizona State, Colorado.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think anybody disagrees. They're definitely ahead. Having that additional money in the last decade for all of them has obviously made a huge difference. Well, that's great. Do you have any questions for us or anything we can answer while I've got you on?
No, I follow you guys every week, so I kind of stay up with what's going on. I really enjoy the way the show's set up and your interaction with the community. I think we've got a really good community going. I look forward to seeing what's coming up in the future.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you for being a paying member. You were the very first subscriber I had, and I don't forget stuff like that. So I'm glad we're doing these gift. We just got one. In fact, here's a gift membership that Moen just posted. Let's post that up there. Somebody click on that button and claim that. If you're new to the channel, click on that gift button at the top of your comment section. Click on that and become one of our members and join BR. And join the growing, I want to say, family that we have, that we really enjoy spending time together. And I'm sorry you're out of work. I will add you to my prayer list for people that I know are struggling or having challenges. So I hope you stick with us, and let's keep this thing going.
All right. Well, I'll be here.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Thanks
you
for
very
being
much.
on, BR.
Appreciate it.
Right,
okay, clap him out. Let's go. Thank you very much. That was awesome. So I'm going to post the link again live. If there's anybody that has any questions, we can jump back off of recruiting. We don't have to stay there. I think realignment is really where a lot of people come in tonight, and especially on a Wednesday. Go ahead and click on that thing and join us live on the show. Comments are great, but I love when people are interactive and we can actually pull them on the show and ask them questions, just like we did with BR. Let me bring that article back up really quick just to finish this out. They did some guessing, other schools that could potentially be leaving. That would be Clemson and North Carolina. Those are the three that have been talked about the most. In fact, we believe here that North Carolina is probably in the driver's seat for that because of where the geography and some of the things they offer for the Big Ten and the SEC. So, is there anything else you want to add to that, you guys? Mullen first.
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right, Sarge.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to moderate stuff on the back end. So.
Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm sorry. I'm asking you to do a lot. I really appreciate you doing that work. If you don't do it, it's not going to get done. I'll tell you.
Yeah, you like to delegate, don't you?
I can't do anything myself, Sarge. I can't do anything myself. I have a hard time getting out of bed. Okay.
Oh, that's all of us at our age, man.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see here. I don't think there's anything else really to this. At the end of the day, Florida State is screwed. That's all there is to it. Florida State is in a lot of trouble, and I don't know how they get better.
My honest opinion, I don't think they're getting out of it. It's going to take a lot of finagling.
I think they're better together. We talked about this at length, multiple shows, many, many hours, and an individual school doesn't have near the leverage they need to make a negotiated exit. It needs to be, I would think, 3 would be brilliant, at least.
You don't think? I think once one challenge is, that's what it's going to take. Somebody's going to have to step and say, we challenge. And then somebody else is going to step up and say, I challenge. But
don't you think they would organize that on the back end, the schools?
They can't. That would be collusion.
Well, they have people that could do it for them.
Right. They could do
they can.
They can, but
they're
going to use intermediaries, but everybody wants to see how everybody else is going to challenge it.
We know what happens because USC and UCLA did it. We know what happens with Texas and Oklahoma.
USC and UCLA did it, and Texas and Oklahoma did it within 2 years of their grant of rights being over.
Yep.
The ACC grant of rights is 20 years out.
But I don't. What does that have to do with the actual action of doing it, though? I can separate those two things, can't you?
Well, because there was no legal action that was really taken. They just said, hey, we're leaving the conference. Mm-hmm. Florida State could do that right now, and they'd be out of the conference in 2037.
Yep.
I guess I see what you're saying. I just don't think, I guess, to me, this is a process question. They either want to do it or they don't.
They want to do it. They want to do it. They don't know if they can.
Well, the can is, I think we've had legal people on. We've talked to all kinds of, Bob Thompson, Jim Williams. We talked to all these people about this realignment stuff. And at the end of the day, everybody gets all excited. You have these Twitter ideas that are really amazing, by the way. A lot of the people that are commenting on Twitter are people that are from this ecosystem. It's from Big 12 Mafia Show. And they're out there being active, proposing other ideas. And I think that's fantastic. But then you come back to reality and you're like, the collusion question and the egos question. The organizational question. UNC doesn't run the same ship that Florida State does. They have different goals. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's going to come down to this. Like I said, it's going to come down to somebody has to step up and say, I challenge. Until then, nobody's moving. Somebody has to make the first move. It's a chess game. Who's going to put their pawn out there first?
Let's get some comments here. Let's see. Wet Blanket says, BR, good job. I give you hands up for BR. You did a fantastic interview. Thank you very much for being here. He says, Wet Blanket, I think one of our new gifted members, if I'm not wrong. Is there a way we could track who gets those things? Is that on the back
end? It shows it on the YouTube chat, but that would have been from yesterday.
Okay.
So
okay. All
right. I gifted one, and Antoine Codes received the gifted membership tonight.
Oh, Antoine. Okay, great. Great to have you here, Antoine. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Cleveland Rock says Utah is in for a rude awakening next year in football. Plus, their basketball is atrocious. They need to find another great Rick Majerus, who was very, very good coach.
Yeah. I still remember waking up at 2:00 in the morning in Germany to watch the championship game in 1998.
Exactly. Yep. That was, and boy, those were two years that were back to back that were fantastic.
Yep.
Let's see here. Cleveland Rocks also says Utah believes the Big 12 is beneath them. They so badly want to be in the Big 10. Well, who doesn't?
True.
But I disagree. Utah's not going to go nowhere.
You know where that started, though, right? And it's been kept going.
Yeah,
by
there's some fans
Kyle.
that are keeping it going, but
it's Kyle.
Yeah.
Well,
yes and no, but yeah.
I think it's all him. His
it
comments
could be,
drive everybody else's comments, I think.
Yeah, but I don't pay attention.
Okay.
I'm like, whatever.
All right.
Because Utah has to lock it, 99 years or whatever, when they sign into the Big 12. So,
yeah.
Unless they want to lose a lot of money that they don't have.
I know Utah has a lot of fans out there. And
Yep.
we've talked about that. The Big Ten, there's some interest. Nobody's getting interest from the SEC. But at the end of the day, are they worth $70 million? Come on. They were stretching to have Oregon and Washington have that much value. So that's not going to be happening anytime soon. I don't care how good the football program gets.
I just know they were on the list. That's all I know. And that they supposedly gave him something to work on, and I don't know how true it is. But that came from, what was his name? Williams?
Jim Williams?
Yeah, it came from him. So.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, that was that. They were number 10 on a 10-school list, I think.
Yeah, he said that the number. He said that they're in no particular order, but
yeah. I talked to Jim offline, and I know for a fact that order was pretty true to form. Anyway.
Oh, I don't care. I really don't.
Sergeant Pickles, again, one of our members, says Sankey is legitimately Virginia and North Carolina away from being the Heart of Dixie Conference.
Yep.
Heart of Dixie Conference. I love these comments. This is fantastic.
That's pretty right on point.
Let's see. All right, sorry guys. I'm going back. Let's see. Here's one from Awesome Lawson Clips. It says just because they push a narrative doesn't mean it's true, but if you say it enough times, people will unconsciously just go with it. I do believe there's messaging.
Yes.
It's subconscious, right?
Yeah. Well, it's very they're putting it out there. It's the same thing with the Bama's better than Florida State.
Right.
Right. The full week after that, I mean, Booger McFarland on there said it was a travesty. After that, I don't think anybody on ESPN said anything to the positive for Florida State.
Nope.
It was Bama deserved it. Bama, 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 Bama.
Right. Herb Street had a tirade over it.
Yeah.
And it's brutal. And then Bill Hancock comes in as the cleanup hitter and puts everything in writing. It's just insane. It's the closest thing to a cartel that you can imagine.
Yep.
That it's a legal cartel. Anybody thinks anything different is not paying attention. It is a legal cartel. Always has been. It's been an old boys club. They changed the rules after BYU won the national championship.
Yep.
They do not want extra people coming into this small club. They simply don't.
Nope.
Don't want that to happen.
I'm a Fox cartel guy.
You are, but Fox is the better producer. That's why. I would be too. Let's see here. I want to be honest about that. I think that's very much that way. Shonsky, another one of our members, says, I'll bet $10,000, Moen, that Florida State will not leave until they have 2 to 3 years left on their grant of rights. Want to bet?
That would be illegal.
$10,000?
What you're suggesting is illegal, Shonsky, but we could set up an escrow account.
There you
go through it that way as a educated. There's a way we can do it, but you know.
Caden's dad, one of our returning family members, says FSU will announce that they are seeking a settlement with the ACC so they can leave. If and when that fails, then they will file a lawsuit in the state of Florida to break the GOR. That's a process.
Similar. It's called sovereign immunity, and what would happen is Florida State's just going to say we're out of here, and we're not going to follow your contract. You don't have any rights over us anymore. The ACC would then sue Florida, And the state of Florida would then come out and say, you cannot sue Florida State because it's a state institution. It has sovereign immunity.
This is a legal argument that's never.
This is a legal theory
yeah.
that's been put out there. We'll see if that's how it goes.
Yep, I love this. Thank you for putting out there, Caden's dad. That's exactly right. That it is a process thing. Let's see. Anything else? Mike Smith says $10,000 can buy a lot of wigs, sunglasses, and costumes for mowing.
I get all this for free, so.
Mowing Stallions. There you go. That's a good nickname. Another comment here from Caden's dad says, anyone arguing that Alabama clearly deserved the CFP bid over FSU after watching the Auburn game just isn't being straight with you.
Yeah. I mean, it's a dumb argument. Florida State clearly deserved to be in.
Right.
But it is interesting that Booger McFarland was about the only person I saw on ESPN side that said anything remotely positive about Florida State. And after that, it became clear from the overlords at ESPN that the narrative was to be that Alabama deserved it more. Alabama's a better team. Alabama will provide a more competitive game. Alabama, SEC, Alabama.
What was that again?
Alabama.
Okay. Just want to make sure because I'm hearing this ringing in my ears, but I'm not sure what it's saying.
It's called tinnitus.
Yeah. Hey, I have that too. My body is. We're not going to compare issues with our bodies because I think all three of us are old enough to have very big wounds. Anyway, Mike Smith says going to a new conference takes time to adjust. Not always a matter of how good or bad your team is. Takes time to learn new teams, and I would say takes time to adjust to new systems. You're doing whole different processes for your operations. I think it does take. I said at the beginning of the year I thought it was 2 to 3 years for BYU. I did think they would have won. They had a chance to win 7 games, and they did. They had Oklahoma beat. They had Oklahoma State beat, and let them both off the hook. So.
I think it's going to be. I think the West Coast teams are going to find it not to be as easy as they think in the Big Ten.
I know that's big time. I know that.
Oregon, especially, I think Oregon's going to get punched in the mouth a couple times.
I think Washington's going to be better than people think.
If Washington's built different.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, Washington's actually got some size to them, but.
Yeah, they are.
These other teams are kind of undersized to be playing in the Big Ten.
Oregon State,
wait till you go to Minnesota in November. I mean, ooh.
All I'm saying is, and I know Sarge can back me up. Oregon State in real life looks like they're running at double speed. They are probably the fastest team organized I've ever seen in my life in comparison to their competitors. They are always faster, like world-class speed. Oregon is crazy. Let's see here. Wet Blanket says, thanks for my gifted membership. I didn't catch who it was, but I appreciate it. Great show. That was Moen. Moen show gave you that Wet Blanket. So.
Well, we gave away 10
was
yesterday.
That earlier?
And
then, that was yesterday.
Summit Hawk gave away some yesterday. So
gotcha.
Thank you, Summit Hawk. No one said merger.
Daniel, another super chat says, no one said merger.
And no one will.
That's an inside joke.
Well, MHVR says there's a merger.
Well,
he
blocked me. So
I follow MHVR. I've not done anything to piss him off like Immaculate and Moen. I still think we're on good terms. But I think he's learned a lesson that you can't just go and just say whatever you want on Twitter when you're talking about when you name names. It's okay if you're being generic. You can say whatever you want. But the minute you name names, you open yourself up. And I think that's what happened overnight. If you didn't know, he deleted a bunch of posts from the last 5-6 days.
There's a thing called libel that people just don't understand, I guess.
I don't think it's that so much. I think it's, people, I honestly believe, again, we were talking about sources taking information and passing it on. I do believe he's tapped into several sources at West Virginia. I do believe he gets true information. I don't think he makes stuff up. I just say that off the top of my head. I do think he what he's saying he believes is true. I just think that it's easy to get manipulated. Ask John Canzano and John Wilner.
Yep.
They're paying a huge price for that. But they're earning it back. I like both those guys. Caden's dad says FSU will announce that they are seeking. Oh, did I read that?
Sorry. Did that one.
I already did that. I thought it was a good comment. I had to read it twice. Let's then. Oh, Patrick Viegel's in the house. Good to have you here, Patrick. Good to see you. He says ESPN. He's a member, obviously. ESPN should have just come out and said that they think the ratings would be better with Alabama than FSU.
Yeah,
I think that it should have. That would have been better. But how often are you getting truth in media anymore?
Never.
They're not going to tell you that. They're never going to say that out loud.
Truth is subjective anyway.
Yeah, absolutely true. Austin Lawson says, I don't feel bad for FSU anymore. The same scenario played out 30 years ago where FSU got into the championship over an undefeated West Virginia. It did. I remember that.
Yep.
And that was true. And the reason I remember it is because I was actually a Florida State fan, and I wasn't against West Virginia. I just liked Florida State. I like the chop and everything. It's very telegenic. But yeah, I remember that. Let's see here. So many. I can't even tell you how many good comments we got. Caden's dad says stage has to be set for Alabama. The moment they clinched the West, FSU had to be diminished. Well, the fact is, if Alabama had lost to Georgia, Florida State gets in. So
no, they don't. Georgia gets in.
No, I'm saying Georgia wins.
I bet you they still
Texas
put Alabama
in. Texas gets in, and then Florida State gets in.
Well, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think regardless of that outcome,
Texas, you think they take Texas instead of Florida State?
Yes.
Okay. You might be right. I had them penciled in as 4 if they went undefeated and Alabama lost. So I could be wrong. I still think Georgia's the best team in the country. That's my opinion. Let's see here. Patrick says, thank you for the one from yesterday. I believe that he's talking about the gift membership. Very welcome, Patrick. Let's see here. Awesome Lawson says, Alabama would smash a Jordan Travis-less FSU. No one can deny this. Really?
Well, one, we don't know.
We don't know.
They wouldn't allow FSU in the playoff.
Florida State had a top 5 defense.
I was going to say that defense looked really good against Louisville. I watched that game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. And look, Alabama almost lost 2 games this year. Actually, almost lost 3 games. They did lose 1.
Yeah, the USF one really sticks in my mind.
And Auburn should have beat them too. The Iron Bowl, they had them beat. So Alabama, anyway, we're not going to.
Alabama and Oregon.
We'll do that next
stomp an Ohio State team with the 3rd-string quarterback, guys.
So next week we will talk about all this stuff. Maybe even Friday, but we're not going to do it tonight. Let's see. How about this? Somebody says, can anyone please tell me who on Fox and CBS supported FSU, because I didn't hear any? That's a good point. It was all in FSU, but
I really listen. I can't stand any of the hosts on FS1. Colin Cowherd. I hate Colin Cowherd. I hate Skip Bayless. So
yeah, I'm with you on those too.
I did not hear anything from them because I don't listen to Fox or CBS really.
I would have to agree with this. Somebody, thank you for being here. I appreciate your comment. I would have to agree with you. Fox sort of disappeared after. You're right. And they're not an ESPN property, Florida State. So Fox honestly has no vested interest, except unless you want to take Ohio State. They had a vested interest in trying to get Ohio State in there. But yeah. I think that's a good point.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know that nobody on Fox didn't say anything.
I understand. All I'm saying is nothing stands out to me. I don't remember seeing anything on Twitter or anything. Daniel Gygax, another one of our members, says MH Furr has moderated. He was kicked off the West Virginia message board 10 years ago, and he knew someone 15 years ago in the SID department at West Virginia, but it has fed someone to float trial balloon. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. Yeah. Let's see here. Bomber, please comment on my super chat about Portal I wrote earlier. Like to hear your thoughts. Did I miss a super chat?
Did we miss one?
If I missed, oh my gosh.
Oh, we did.
I have never missed a super chat. Thank you so much, Cleveland. I apologize. Let me say that out loud. I apologize openly to Cleveland Rocks. I've never missed one, and that one slipped by me. So I'm sorry about that. He says signing day is obsolete because of the portal.
It's
Thoughts?
less important, but not obsolete.
Which is the better? That's the better question. To get kids out of high school that are fresh, you can train them up fresh, or to get guys that have excelled or maybe didn't excel at other schools, but might be more tools and experience. What do you guys think? Sarge, what do you think about that?
I'd have to throw my military experience into this, because you want the guys that are fresh without any bad habits. You want the guys that you can tough train.
Okay, so
that's my take. So I'd rather have. I think there should be something on the portal.
Okay.
So I think the high school recruits should be the priority, in my opinion.
Oh, you do? You'd rather have high school recruits? Okay. Yeah. Moen?
I think it depends on what program you're at.
Okay.
I think
Ohio State is your program.
For an Ohio State program, the portal is not as important.
Right.
The recruiting is more important. For a school like, say, Kansas, I think the portal plays a more important role for a school like Kansas or North Carolina. But it's interesting. The portal has really opened up the quarterback position.
Yes.
More than anything else. Michael Penix was a nobody quarterback at Indiana, and he should have won the Heisman this year. He would have won the Heisman this year if Bo Nix hadn't had a decent year.
Yep, that's true. They robbed each other's votes. That's true.
Yeah, Bo Nix, another great example. Auburn legacy. Flames out there, goes to Oregon, gangbusters. Joe Burrow, Ohio State, would have to sit behind Dwayne Haskins, left for LSU, had a decent year at LSU, the next year set records. So
Jalen Daniels, ASU,
Jalen Daniels, yeah.
To LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The portal has really changed the way the quarterback position is played within the college or recruited within the college football world.
Go ahead,
No, I agree. And I think it should go back to, they only have the one time that they're eligible right off the bat.
So if the rule is equal for all, everybody plays by the same rules, so it's all in the open. There's no underhanded, I don't see a problem with as many transfers as you want. It doesn't bother me in the least. It's kind of like I never was bothered by steroids. As long as if they were administered by doctors and controlled, I think there could be some benefit to that. But at the end of the day, if everybody's playing on the same, with the same rules, everything's equal.
I hear you.
I don't have a problem. I don't care how many schools a kid goes to.
Well, I don't have a problem with that either. I'm just saying they should only get the one time where they're eligible right off the bat.
Okay. Well,
they keep them from bouncing.
Now is they can go wherever they want as many times.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Cleveland Rocks, I'm sorry about that again. Thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you very much for your loyalty in the show. I really appreciate that. Let's get down here. Some more comments. Awesome Lawson, echoing what Sarge said and also what Moen said. The portal is a game changer for the smaller schools. Yeah. Anybody below 20, any school below 20, it has to be active in the portal.
Look at Colorado.
Right. Look at
Colorado hadn't done nothing in years, and then Dion comes and he pretty much owns the portal.
Except they won 4 games.
Well, I know, but he still owns the portal. He's still getting them in there.
He does,
and he puts them in, and he puts them in there.
But they don't win games,
right?
Those players.
It's all about the.
Yeah, I think next year everybody thinks they're going to improve. I've seen so many comments about people saying Colorado wins 9 next year. They're going to dominate.
I don't see that one.
I think they could struggle to get 5 wins. Mm-hmm. If you look at their schedule, I don't have it off the top of my head. We'll do this on Friday. I'll make a note of it. You look at their schedule, I can't see 6 wins, 7 wins. Their schedule is extremely difficult. So I don't think the portal is the answer to all things. Dion might be great at the portal. We'll have to find out. But I will be shocked if they win more than 6 games next year. And if they do, I'll admit it. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Awesome Lawson says portal players can come on and start from day one. Only the top of the top high school recruits can do this. That's true. That's true. But it also means if you're bouncing from school to school, you're going from system to system to system, coach to coach to coach. And that doesn't necessarily build a strong program like in Ohio State, top 2 in the nation. They build from below rather than from the sides. And I think, in my opinion, I never answered that question. In my opinion, I'd much rather have a strong high school base than a strong portal.
Me too.
Let's see here. Shonsky says, if you don't recruit high school kids, you're going to fall apart as a program. Even in the NFL, you can't build a team on free agents. You have to build a core, then fill holes. Well, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely true. Let's see. Jeff Woodworth says, yeah, it was nice to just barely listen to the show and focus more on the chat. Did I miss something there? Is that an answer to
I think they were
else?
talking about another show.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I've never seen that comment for our show. Let's see.
You already did that one.
I just did that one. Okay. Let's see here. Cleveland Rocks is answering a question for Daniel. Can't compare NFL to college. A lot more players to choose from in college. Plug and play. Plus, look at that portal. Has nothing for college basketball. Is that true? Portal's big in college.
I think that's what he's saying.
Oh,
look
okay.
what the portal has done for college.
Oh, the reverse. Okay, I thought he was saying the negative. Okay, yeah, it's completely changed college basketball. It's a completely different sport. Because you can pick basketball up quicker. There's only 5 guys. It's not 110 guys you're trying to organize. They're not equal. Those two things are not equal. Patrick Viegel says Colorado won more games this year than last year. That's true, and they will improve again next year. They'll win 5 games. BR says Colorado won't improve until they develop a line, and they have no depth. That's what really cost them this year. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. We'll get to some more. This is fantastic, guys. I really appreciate it. Jeff Woodward says, no, Bomber, we love focusing on your show. Okay, thank you.
I like Mike Smith's comment below that.
What's it say?
Yeah, I want to see Mike. Yeah,
Mike
that's a good one.
Sometimes I just turn off the volume of this show and just stare at Bomber and dream of going to prom with him. Oh my gosh. Is there a way we can historically capture that comment? Because I'd love that. That is fantastic. Somebody do a screenshot of that and send it to me on Twitter, please. I think that is fantastic. Thank you very much, Mike Smith. I don't know.
He wants to show that one off to his wife later tonight.
I do, because I don't think I've ever heard that. She didn't even want to go to prom.
Funny.
With me. That's hilarious. Thank you, Mike. You've been a very, very strong member of the family here, and we appreciate it. The Big 12 Mafia.
There you go,
family.
Bomber. I sent it to you.
Did you? Okay, thank you. That's awesome. David Hackett says, have you noticed the SEC has not released its 2025 football schedule or beyond, and could it be due to ACC schools leaving and waiting on which schools to announce they are? In my opinion, yes, that could be. What do you guys think?
Could be.
Anything's possible.
But I mean, the Big Ten's released out for the next, we released out and then we added Oregon and Washington. So I don't think that's the end all be all.
Right. But it is, again, we talked about breadcrumbs earlier.
Yeah.
These are little things we need to be paying attention to, and we will track that. That's a great comment, David. And make sure you remind us of it later, because I think you're right. Let's see. FSU's Joey Z says FSU, ESPN, and SEC can rot in hell. Yes, that's pretty true. Let's see. Awesome. Lawson again says, I'd be interested to see the numbers on all players who entered the portal, but never found a home in the past few years. I asked.
That's a good question.
It is a good question. I asked in the offseason if somebody could present a report that showed how many went in and then ended up sort of struggling to catch on to another team. What's that percentage got to be? 5-10%?
I don't know.
Idea.
Or school or guys that dropped from Alabama to FCS. I'd like to see that report, right? Guys who really think in their head, somebody's in their ear chirping about NIL. You're going to be in the NFL next week. Next thing you know, you leave your school and you're playing for, I don't want to say Towson State. I don't know. That would be
Well,
a
some of
shock.
it's you've seen some of these are academics too, where kids just can't keep up.
Oh, of course. And that's part of the
With
problem
the
with BYU
academics.
and Utah. They BYU's they take the ACT. I believe it's ACT at Utah too, isn't it?
I really don't
Sorry.
know. It's been so long. I don't follow that part, but yeah, I don't know.
ACT scores across the board usually are more indicative of success than SAT scores, and BYU has one of the highest requirements for ACT. And my daughters barely got in, I should say, and they got 31s on the ACT. 31 on the SAT is like a 120 IQ. It's really hard to do that, and BYU doesn't lower their standards. Anyway, we don't need to talk about that anymore. Let's see here. Cleveland Rock says Mike Smith. That's hilarious. You made everybody's night tonight, Mike Smith, with that comment. That was really funny. Mike Smith says, "See, honey, someone else thinks I'm hot too." It's nice to have that. Shonsky says, "Question: If Deion Sanders leaves after next year, which I believe he will, once his son graduates and leaves in the NFL, look at the mess a new coach would have to deal with. What do you guys think about that?" I think it was a devil's bargain Colorado made by bringing Deion in. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. It was. It's a short-term success, though. I mean, look at the numbers he brought in and how much money he brought to the university.
Oh,
he
yeah.
has paid for himself.
Oh, absolutely.
Just by being himself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
But if he leaves, vacuum,
it'll be a train wreck, but it's a profitable train wreck.
They'll be cashing checks, but it's gonna be painful.
And he's like one of the big reasons why Colorado bolted when they did for the Big 12.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Because he wanted it.
Well, he's padding his resume. If he's going to keep coaching, it's not going to be in the Big 12.
No, I don't think so.
I don't care what he says on ESPN highlights or Fox specials or 60 Minutes, Sports Illustrated. I don't care who's talking to Deion. Deion's about Deion. Anybody watching? Here's a question. Anybody watching on Amazon the Prime documentary for this last year? I've been watching it. You guys been watching that?
No.
Nope.
I would recommend it. If you guys have, it's very interesting.
It's got Deion Sanders in it.
It's all about him, isn't it?
It's all
Prime
it's titled Prime.
Okay, yeah, that's
yeah.
Anyway. I don't like Deion Sanders, so.
Well, I understand. I get it. I just anyway. Jeff Woodward says, "Who knew Bomber was a mountain mama?" Oh boy. This is I'm starting to feel uncomfortable a little bit. Let's see.
Start playing some banjos.
Let's see here. Cleveland Rock says, "Bomber, I'm going to the Pop-Tart Bowl in Orlando. Avery Johnson will be big next year." Calling his shot, Avery Johnson. I don't know much about him. Do you guys know Avery Johnson?
I do not.
We'll have to do a search on him. Can you Google him really quick, Moen?
Yeah, but I heard the Pop-Tart mascot at that bowl is completely edible, so.
Gosh.
I do know that.
Let's see here. Mike Smith makes a good point, who's a West Virginia fan, by the way. He's biased. He says, "Nobody has higher admission standards than West Virginia." Well, that's not true. If higher means meth, grass, and alcohol.
There you go. I was waiting for you to get to the kicker.
I was waiting for Moen to finish it, to be honest. He was distracted. He's made jokes in the past that have pissed some people off, by the way. I've had to sort of calm people down because of his jokes.
What? I didn't make just because I make fun of West Virginia. I live close. I love West Virginia. I wouldn't want to live there, but I love it.
I'm not going to tell you what you did, but there was one particular thing you did one night that I got a lot of feedback on. You know what? I think we're about done here. At the end of the day, Mike Smith says Affleck connection.
Yeah,
Affleck. It's not Affleck.
The GOAT.
Anyway. Here we go. Avery Johnson is a KSU QB. Okay. So we'll be on the lookout for him. I'm sorry, I don't know him, so that's new to me. Will Howard, right, was your quarterback, and
Yeah.
he just transferred. So,
Yep.
Where did he end up? He ended up, he went to, was it UCLA or Oregon? Where did Will Howard go?
I think it was Oregon.
I thought it was a Pac-12 school.
No, he didn't go to Oregon. Will Howard went to Washington, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember. There's so many transfers. Daniel Geiger says Moen can see West Virginia from his house.
That's true.
Austin Lawson says he went to USC. Mike Smith says the joking about West Virginia mating call is shaking a pill bottle, to which I replied, did someone say something? Okay.
Is that what that was the one that upset people?
That was the one I got a lot of offline
Listen,
comments
that
about.
one gets thrown around here as an Ohio mating call all the time. And if you think I've had people tell you the dosage in the bottle before.
Okay, I know. Let's change the subject. I don't want to get into this. Just stop. I'm sorry I brought it up. I apologize.
That's a good one, though.
You guys can't control yourselves. Let's see. All right, guys. We have done thousands of comments, it seems like. We have been on top of it. We talked recruiting, talked realignment, talked Florida State, the ACC. And there's so much out there. We didn't really get to the Pac-2, but to be honest, it was the only update I have about those two is that they did strike a deal with the West Coast Conference. And they are going to be playing all of their sports except for football in the West Coast Conference for the foreseeable future. The contract does have an out, so if they find a home, they can leave, similar like BYU had. But yeah, that's where they're going to be playing basketball next year, is in the West Coast Conference. Other than that, the Pac-2, I don't have any more information. Last night we had Matt Lovelace on. He's from Washington State, and he told us they're excited there about that. You know, they're working with Oregon State to take advantage of those resources, but right now there's no answers on what's going to happen, and still some time has to pass. So, Sarge, I'm going to give you a second here. Tell everybody who you are and sign yourself out.
Well, I'm Sarge. Well, I don't know how to do this. This is my first time. So, but anyway.
Know. You've done a great job. Look at this. Cleveland Rock says, great show. Come back, Sarge. Look at that.
I'll try.
You've got fans.
That's a bomber lets me.
People want to take you to prom now.
Oh, I doubt that. I'm the fat girl on the
I appreciate
on the curb.
I appreciate you filling in on short notice for Wild Ute. And yeah, who knows?
Oh, anytime.
We'll do some more stuff in the future. If you want to come back, we'll do that.
Heck yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Moen, what do you want to tell everybody tonight?
I don't want to offend anybody with a closing argument or a closing statement, because it's 2023. You can't joke with people anymore, apparently.
Awesome Lawson says it's 2023, bro. Jokes are hate speech now.
Yeah.
He's kind of right.
Well, listen, I love West Virginia. I love the people of West Virginia. I'm an hour away from West Virginia. I go to Morgantown all the time. It's a special kind of brotherhood we have here in Appalachia. So,
Jeff Woodward says, "Please, Moen, they're begging you."
I really can't say anything bad about West Virginia. It's just a joke.
All right. We'll leave it at that. Everybody, I really appreciate you being here. This Wednesday show, we cover as much as we can. Thank you for being a part of this. Again, I encourage anybody that's new, please subscribe to the channel. Follow us all on Twitter, and then consider becoming a member of the Big 12 Mafia. We appreciate everybody who's been here tonight, all the new members, all the super chats. You guys are great. In my opinion, we have the best family out there. And, Greg Flugar is obviously one of my idols, and I think he does great things, and I'm just trying to keep up with him. So you guys have been great, and I just want you to keep doing what you do, because we appreciate it. Our next show, I'm going to be doing a show tomorrow, all BYU. I'm inviting Big 12 people to come. Anybody can come, but you can learn more about BYU. We're going to talk recruiting. We're going to dive into some details. I'm hoping that will fill some of the gaps that we've had in our knowledge about how BYU's done with this first year adjustment to the Big 12. So we're going to do that tomorrow night at 8 Eastern. And then Friday, we will be back with a Fearless Friday pick'em, but it's not pick'em. We're going to talk about realignment. It's going to be a Friday realignment, and Immaculate's supposed to be here, and everybody knows what that's supposed to be about. So.
Oh, and Friday, drinking show.
Drinking. Okay, we're going to do drinking show for Clemson.
We're going to do the drinking show. I'm breaking out the shot glasses. Hold on.
Okay.
My
Well,
50 caliber shot glass right there.
Okay.
I'm breaking it out. I'm breaking out some Crown Royal. We're drinking on Friday's show.
Okay, whatever you want. I'm okay with that.
Friday,
you
I might make it here.
Drive.
I might not. It's my daughter's birthday, so we're going out. So
if I need you, I will send you an invite. Okay, I will let you know. We'll talk about it.
Oh, you can send me an invite anytime. I don't care.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying it's not going to be every show, but if we do it, I will let you know beforehand. Okay.
I know.
All right.
Fine.
Great. Jan Hulk. Jan is in Slovenia. Jan, you need to be a paying member. We need to give him a gift, but we can't just give him one, right? If we give him a gift, he would be the only one that could click on it. I don't know. Jan, thank you so much from Slovenia. It is currently 8 hours, 9 hours, so it's in the morning in Slovenia, and you're watching this on YouTube. I love your patronage. Thank you so much for being here, and I want to hear more from you. Slovenia is an interesting country. It's one of the ones in Europe I've never been to.
It's part of the former
Did you make it
Yugoslavia.
there? Did you make it to Slovenia? You were in
No,
Bosnia,
I didn't go to. I didn't go into Slovenia, but I'm Croatia, Bosnia, Macedonia.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, Jan is
Slovenia was part of it.
He's watching us at 4 a.m. And obviously Glenn Lumen is in the Philippines, and I think it's somewhere in the afternoon tomorrow in the Philippines. So anyways, we're an international show, and I love it. You guys are awesome. We're going to sign out. 2 hours is a long time. I'm going to finish with this. Shonsky says, go Cougs. I love it. Go Cougs.
Go Utes.
Go Utes.
Hey, our bowl games this weekend. Go Utes.
Okay, there you go. Everybody else have a great night. Stay out of trouble. We'll see you tomorrow night for a special show, 8 Eastern, or Friday at, what did we decide, 7:30, right? 7:30 Eastern?
7:30.
7:30 Eastern on Friday. We appreciate everybody being here with us tonight. Stay out of trouble, and peace out.